This is a preview of the book Shakespeare's Goddess, the Divine Feminine on the English Stage from City of Light Publishing. The chapter is about the goddess Diana in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and this section is called A Whiter Shade of Pale. A Midsummer Night's Dream takes place in ancient Greece. Actually, that gets a bit confusing because as soon as the young lovers venture out of town, they're in an Elizabethan English forest. But the bookend scenes of the play take place in Athens, overseen by Duke Theseus, the mythical hero famous for fighting the Minotaur and infamous for his reputation as a sexual predator. He's prepping for one of his numerous disastrous marriages, this time to Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons, whom he conquered in a bloody battle of the sexes. Then, a nobleman drags his daughter into the room, furious that she insists on choosing her own husband, and he demands that Theseus uphold the Athenian law. Hermia must marry her father's chosen suitor, or be put to death. Theseus feels the heat of his captive fiancée's glare, and nimbly improvises a third option. The girl can become a nun. Then he idiotically blurts out that she'll have 3 days to decide, and he'll expect her answer on his wedding day. This guarantees that whatever Hermia chooses, Theseus' bride will get to watch a young girl crying her eyes out just before the ceremony, and maybe getting hanged as well. He does have some sympathy for Hermia's plight. We can see it in his speech, far more flowery than Hamlet's curt "get thee to a nunnery." Theseus becomes rather poetic. "Either to die the death or to abjure forever the society of men. Therefore, fair Hermia, question your desires. Know of your youth, examine well your blood, whether if you'll yield not to your father's choice, you can endure the livery of a nun. For I to be in shady cloister mewed, to live a barren sister all your life, chanting faint hymns to the cold fruitless moon. Thrice blessed they that master so their blood, to undergo such maiden pilgrimage. But earthlier happy is the rose distilled than that which withering on the virgin thorn grows, lives, and dies in single blessedness." Hermia's problems stem from the society of men. She lives in a world where she's owned by her father. He can barter her off to any man of his choosing under Athenian law, written by dead men, represented by Duke Theseus. So he offers that she can forsake men altogether and go live in a society of women. And since he's just crushed the Amazon Society of Women, he offers that Hermia can go join a convent. But this concept of the nunnery is complicated by the fact that baby Jesus hadn't even been born yet, Christianity wouldn't start for another 1,500 years, and in Shakespeare's time, the English convents had all been closed. When Theseus speaks of nuns, he's talking about the virginal priestesses at some early version of Diana's temple in Ephesus. Quote, "chanting faint hymns to the cold, fruitless moon," is meant literally, worshipping the moon aspect of the goddess, variously known as Artemis, Phoebe, Diana, Cynthia, Hecate, and the, quote, "thrice blessed," refers to the goddess's trinitarian aspects of youth, maturity, and age, linked to the phases of the lunar cycle. The moon's timelessness, young and old at once, is the answer to a riddle in Love's Labour's Lost. What was a month old at Cain's birth that is not 5 weeks old as yet? Diana, a title to Phoebe, to Luna, to the moon. At the time Shakespeare was writing A Midsummer Night's Dream, he was drafting Romeo and Juliet, which also contains a reference to virginal moon priestesses. When Romeo gives his speech about light breaking through the window and Juliet being the sun, he continues, "Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off." He's praying that this girl he met is not some aspiring vestal virgin. Theseus calls the moon fruitless in the sense that Diana was eternally chaste, and yet the moon was believed to be profoundly influential in fertility. Human pregnancy, for example, is tied to lunar cycles of menstruation, and Roman women would pray to the moon goddess because labor is easier under a full moon. If this sounds like superstition, just ask a modern midwife or obstetrician. The moon holds sway over ocean tides and can have curious effects on human thought and emotion. It's from the Latin luna that we get the word lunatic for abnormal psychological states. So priestesses chanting hymns to the moon were not just spouting lovelorn poetry at a lonely light in the sky, but played an essential role in steadying universal cycles. The fairy queen Titania explains the disastrous consequences of fairies neglecting their circle dances for the moon. No night is now with hymn or carol blessed, therefore the moon, the governess of floods, pale in her anger washes all the air, that rheumatic diseases do abound. And thorough this distemperature we see, the seasons alter, hoary-headed frosts fall in the fresh lap of the crimson rose, and on old Haim's chin and icy crown. An odorous chaplet of sweet summer buds is, as in mockery said, the spring, the summer, the chiding autumn, angry winter, change their wonted liveries, and the mazed world by their increase now knows not which is which. Titania is saying that the seasons have swapped their costumes till no one can tell what time of year it is. Without fairy dances and virginal hymns to steady lunar cycles, the whole cosmic clockwork has been a train wreck with disastrous consequences for humans, crops, and livestock. Shakespeare was commenting on current events. Europe in the 1590s suffered a series of wet springs and cold summers, causing crop failures. Modern climatologists refer to this period as a Little Ice Age, which the Elizabethans found inexplicable. As one commentator wrote, Earth scientists today discuss the relative importance of factors such as deforestation, automobile and industrial exhausts, and bovine flatulence in determining the nature, pace, and effects of global warming. Yes, you read it correctly. Heifer farts are no laughing matter. In Shakespeare's time, bad weather was often blamed on witchcraft, resulting in superstitious attempts to resolve climate cooling with witch burnings. But Shakespeare here playfully proposes that the wacky weather, English even by English standards, may have resulted from a fairy domestic dispute disrupting ritual reverence to the moon. This exploration of the moon and lunar goddess Diana in A Midsummer Night's Dream continues in the book Shakespeare's Goddess. Other sections of the book explore Shakespeare's presentations of Venus, Juno, Ceres, and other goddesses, plus sections on Elizabeth I and Cleopatra as semi-divine queens. It's a scholarly book, but it was fun to write, and I've heard from people who've read it that it's fun to read. Shakespeare's Goddess is available from City of Light Publishing. Please stop by and visit j-snodgrass.com. Thanks.